I'd like to call to order the Village of Marvin Parks, Recreation and Greenways Board meeting here on August 3rd, 2021 at 9:05 a.m. First item on the agenda is to determine a quorum, and with myself, Bob Nunnenkamp, Christina Culp, and Dan Wilson, I do determine that we do have a quorum. Kimberly, our council liaison, is not in attendance this morning. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do I hear a motion on the table to adopt the agenda as written, or are there any questions or additions?
A second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda from our workshop meeting.
You mean minutes?
What's that?
Excuse me, minutes.
Oh, he did minutes first.
Oh, he did. Wait, what?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I thought you said minutes. Okay, well, so moved.
The adoption of the minutes from the special meeting on July 27th, which was a workshop for Marvin Day, as well as a couple of other items. I do have here the minutes from that meeting. Any additions, revisions, anything like that? All right, do I hear a motion on the table to adopt the July 27th, 21 meeting minutes as they are written?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I was gonna check if you were on mute, Dan.
He's popping off and on there.
No, I got this like loud noise in the background. So
Oh, no worries. Gotcha. All right, next on the agenda is public comment period. There's no one here that is signed up to speak, and I don't see any additional folks online, so no public, no comment. The next item is the public facility manager's update. Derek, I know we'd spoken a little bit last night, and unfortunately with the rain, it's put a little damper on our planned festivities today for National Night Out. We did discuss having this meeting, and I think there's some things we'll want to kind of continue some of the conversations and give some updates on some of the things that we had in that 727 meeting. But anything from you, perhaps even, coming off of our conversations yesterday with moving National Night Out and so forth, that you want to discuss?
Not specifically, just for everyone to hold tight until October 5th, and we will rock and roll again at that time.
Yeah, and Derek, and I know Derek was in communication with Christina and stuff, and I don't know if he had direct conversations with you, but during the course of yesterday, Derek did reach out to me probably about noon at first, and we started to see kind of what the what the radar was showing and what the forecast was showing, and we figured we'd wait till a little bit later in the day, but he stayed in contact with Tommy and the other officers that were doing a lot of the planning, and it seemed by about 2 o'clock it was continuing to look worse and not better. So that's why we made the decision yesterday, and I think even it looks like in the evenings today it might be 20, 30, 40% rain, but with as much as we're going to get all day, I think it'd be kind of a soggy mess anyway. So
This app is showing rain until 5 or 6 o'clock. So
Yeah.
rain,
yeah,
not
so
just wet.
I just want to thank staff and everybody for communicating well, and then I saw the emails go out, the Facebook posts go out that I shared as well, and try to let as many folks know that it is pushed till October 5th, Tuesday, October 5th. And
the communication went out really well, because I saw it in 2 or 3 different places and I wasn't looking for it, so that's good.
Yeah.
That means it's working. It's nice.
So thank you for that, Derek, and kind of coordinating that piece of it. Anything else, Derek, from your side?
As far as National Night Out goes, no. I think everything is lined up to just be postponed. I don't think we are going to lose anything that we need to replace. We actually have opportunity, I think, with 2 extra months to add some things if we wanted to. If there's any vendors or exhibits or activities that you want to, see added, just shoot me an email, let me know. We'll see if we can't fit them in. People that were previously busy or couldn't do it today, maybe they can in October, who knows?
Yeah, I guess the only thing that we do have to keep in mind too is that by that point, the school year will already be in play. People will be going a bunch of different directions. So, but like Derek said, it gives us some more time in planning. Might even be an opportunity for us as we continue to think about Marvin Day
That's what I
things.
was
Well, I think one of the positives, everybody's back from vacation though.
Yeah.
We're still not to Labor Day yet, and there's a lot of people out doing vacations right now at the beach. So
I think
Our
it's 6
attendance
of one, half a dozen
doesn't
the other,
do
right?
that.
I mean,
I think it's
fine.
actually nicer in October than in
Well,
August.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I think it's
Might be
positive.
Usually.
I think I just feel
Don't
like
jinx
it's
it.
positive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
No, but I think maybe even thinking about, as we talk about Marvin Day, that is an opportunity to maybe announce some of it, that something's going on,
Yeah,
to save the date, something. We just
Correct.
need to
By
be
then
thinking
we
about
might
that.
have the date solidified and some other things, and
Yep.
and we can kind of use that kind of as an
Kickoff.
opportunity, to make more of the community aware at an early standpoint.
Yep.
So Derek, moving on to unfinished business items, the first one is discussion of National Night Out. We've pretty much done that, but anything else in regard to National Night Out then?
Nothing else from my end.
Okay. Next item is unfinished business item number 2, the continued discussion of 2022 Marvin Day event planning. And one of the reasons I wanted to keep this meeting, even though we're not going to have National Night Out tonight, was just as a touch point again to kind of give some updates from our takeaways last week. And I'll probably start, probably the most important thing that we're still waiting on is confirmation of a date. And I did reach out, I think I mentioned to everyone that it is a new principal at the high school now. Matthew Lasher took over for Donna Cook, who's been there through all my kids, and they've all, 2 of them are almost done with college, so she's been around quite some time. I'm sure he's drinking from the fire hose, so I had left that initial message for him last week before our meeting. I hadn't heard back from him yet, so yesterday I reached out to the school again, and more asking them, number one, we're looking to partner with the schools on this community event that we're looking to target towards spring. Really get an understanding of what that process would have to look like, because I'm sure it's not just the principal saying yay or nay too.
Yep.
He'd have to check with the athletic director, see what schedule things are, and for the spring there, who knows, they could have a big track competition that weekend or something like that. So and then I when I had the follow-up conversation yesterday with staff there, there's also the discussion of, does that really kind of solely sit with a decision with the school principal, or do people at the county, need to get involved in allowing it as well? So, because they are county-owned properties, so.
Let me ask a question. We wouldn't need it all day,
Correct.
right? So knowing a time frame, so that sounds a little bit less onerous to say, well, I need it for 48 hours versus I need it for probably 8 hours in the evening or whatever, right? I don't know what, how long.
And the thing that I was thinking of was saying we would look to see if we could have it for the afternoon and evening.
Yeah, that's what I was
Afternoon, if for example, we were to look to do an event like we talked about, a car show there.
Yeah.
That would be a good venue with all the parking
Mm-hmm.
and capabilities like that. And then in the evening, more of the community gathering with some music and things like that. So that's how I was gonna kind of
Yeah.
pose the opportunity to him, because I think with Derek, you know, when you were talking about the fun run / 5K, you were thinking more that, you know, that's something that we could probably launch right there from Marvin Elementary, you know, and even do it, you know, perhaps with some health things going on
Right,
and
that
stuff
would
like
be,
that.
that's
So, you know, and that's in the morning, so it wouldn't necessarily be tying up the high school in the parking lot all day, but potentially, you know, late afternoon into evening type of thing, you know,
Yeah.
that I think. Does that sound good to you guys on the board as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So, bottom line is, I got my first back to school announcement and emails from the new principal yesterday separately. So I think he was, you know, kind of focused on working that and reestablishing communication with the students as their new principal. So I haven't heard back from him directly, but I did have a good conversation with the ladies at the front desk, and they assured me they, you know, get me on his list to give me a call back, and hopefully that'll happen in the next couple of days or so, and I'll of course immediately kind of provide feedback back to Austin, and he can give it to us as a group.
Yeah, because that is a linchpin.
And that was the biggest thing. I mean, it hasn't been that long since we met on the 27th, but
Well, so last night I sent all of you an email.
yeah, I hadn't been able
And
to.
no, there's no worry to look at it, but I thought there was no point in copying all that stuff if we're going to use verbiage from the sponsor forms, the vendor form, whatever, then you'll want to cut and paste it. So I sent you the sponsor forms, the vendor forms, the entertainment contract, which is it's not the best thing in the world. I'm sure Jamie can come up with something better than that. I sent you a festival overview, and there was something else in there, I don't remember. But I also sent you the link to the website, and all of those things are on that website too. So, you know, if you...
No, I read through it. I thought it was helpful.
Yeah, you should, I mean, it's a place to start.
Yeah.
Oh, and I sent you the
Placeholder.
link.
Yeah.
I sent you the link for the sponsor tiers and what you get for those. And I can also tell you that we are, the festival committee is, after this year, we're going to revamp all of that stuff because we think we're giving away too much, basically. So just think that in your head. And I know Jamie, I pointed this because that's where he usually sits. I know he is thinking that we would start our sponsor tiers way higher. But the Heritage Festival is you know, Master Gardeners, and
Yeah.
Master Gardeners are a volunteer organization, and they act like one. So I mean, you know, we always feel like we're you know, really being tight with money, so we don't think quite big enough.
When you say you might be giving too much away, are you speaking about just in terms of
In
the
the
sponsorships?
sponsorships, yeah. So if you're at a certain level sponsorship, you get all these free registrations for the race and T-shirts, and when you start adding, you know, do the spreadsheet on how much that costs.
Yeah,
Sponsorship's not worth quite as much as you think, you know,
Yeah.
because you're giving away a $10 T-shirt, and
yeah.
you know, and so anyway, just we can think about all of that, but it's a good place to start. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I brought a T-shirt. This is last year's T-shirt, so see how snazzy it is. And then all of the
Yeah.
all of the sponsors were on. Well, most of them. The big sponsors were on the back.
Mhm.
So,
Shot one of those suckers this year.
huh? You got one?
No, I said I shot one of them.
You shot one of these?
The
Was
wild
it a pink
turkey.
one, an orange one, or a purple one? They're supposed to be turkeys. So our mascot is a wild turkey. And you know, you're like, do you people drink the wild turkey run? What are you thinking? But I don't.
I think it's a good
Can you guess what I was thinking about?
Yeah, you
I hope it wasn't in your backyard, Bob.
No,
We do have a firearm.
no.
Bow and arrow.
Okay, are you through?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of
hold
if
on,
there was
see.
anything else with that. But obviously you can find it all on the website. You can see kind of how we lay things out, what's part of the festival. It is all in one campus. I do have a map if you're interested in seeing that. But I don't think that's really going to help us much because it's kind of like the opposite of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Before I give an update on where I'm at, where are we on the date for the event?
That's what he's waiting for the school.
Because I'm talking to people.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to lock things in, and it would be nice to have a firm date.
Well, I think we could say that that's a firm date.
Well,
but
I'm
if we-
telling them that it is, but I'm getting concerned that it might not be.
Well, but if we do, then we have to have the understanding that, it may be a far more decentralized event.
That we
When-
can't use the high
when we
school.
were
Potentially we can't use the high school if that date is not.
Well, yeah, okay, so,
Yeah. That's the biggest thing is getting
The
some
high
feedback
school,
from the high school
okay.
because we're kind of looking to that as the one place where we could have enough parking
For
and
everybody.
opportunity for a large enough chunk of the
Got it.
community to kind of come and
no, I'm
and do the music
yeah,
and
I'm
stuff
totally
together,
there, I
so-
just wish we
So-
would make a decision, right?
Yeah.
And I know it's school dependent, so we'll do it.
Yeah.
Let me give you an update on the garden and art tour. We're meeting with some really good success.
Oh, good.
I've talked with the lady Kelly Walensky. She does laser wood carving. And if we go with the owl, and we call the owl as an example Marv, she'll more than likely cut out some owls and have children paint them, and they get paint kits. So all the kids will be able to paint Marv, and that would be really good.
We could even have a little contest, a little art contest.
Kat Jackson, she's a potter, and she's committed to come. She's going to look for a pottery wheel so she can do pottery demonstrations. So she's in. Verna Witt, she and I are playing telephone tag. John Jones, I touched base with. He does not want to participate. However talented he is, he just doesn't want to draw attention to his business because he's
Yeah.
at home. I've got to get up with a lady by the name of Landis Marshall. She too is a potter. She's out on Waxhaw Marvin Road.
Lambeth, Lambeth, I think it is.
She told me Landis.
Yeah, it's Lambeth, Lambeth.
Do you have a phone number for her?
I actually might, because I dealt with her years ago, helping her to get into the village of Marvin. Lambeth. No, must have been an old phone.
Well,
but I
Kat
can-
said she was going to get it to me, so I'll anyway, she's pretty positive about her wanting to participate as well. Which brings us to, on the garden and art tour, none of these ladies, and it's a point well taken. Initially when I thought of the tour, I was thinking, well, everybody would stop by the the home of the potter, and they would go and take a tour and so on and so forth. The ladies I've spoken to, apparently Marvin did a studio tour years ago.
Marvin?
Yeah.
Yes, they did,
And
and,
they-
Lambeth was involved in that.
Yeah, and
That's
they-
what we do in Seagrove. Yeah.
And they
That's a different thing.
and they participated,
There's places to go.
and they only had 3 people show up or 5 people show up. And the people that wanted to come, they said they were really a bathroom stop. People just wanted to come in and use their bathrooms. And they were uncomfortable being by themselves
Well, yeah.
because their pottery locations are separate from their homes. So they would be over here with strangers coming through. So my recommendation and their request is that we have a location at Eford Park where they can set up, and we create like an art area of potters and where the children are going to paint and do that type thing. So people come to the park to see this, and they don't drive here, thither than yon, and we don't have to create some art map for it. So I think from a logistics perspective, it makes a whole lot of sense. So if everybody agrees, that's one thing. The other is how big would the booths be? Where would they be? These ladies are also asking, can we sell our art there? If we're doing a demonstration, can we have a couple pieces to sell if people are interested in the art? So are they allowed to retail? So some questions come with all this stuff.
And so when you see the festival, the Heritage Festival stuff, we definitely let people do that as long as it's their work. I don't mean that I'm the only person that can make it and sell it, but it's got to be like my family or my friends.
Correct.
But it's not like bath fitters that come out and sell stuff,
Yeah,
right?
It's not a
Or
consignment.
Tupperware.
No, it's not a
Or
consignment station.
Tupperware,
Right.
Avon kind of
Yeah.
thing, yeah. You just
So they're just asking if they can retail what they do. And I don't, we've got to determine a lot before we do anything on this in terms of how much space do we have, where will they be, do we have electrical? Do they need electrical? How's that going to work?
Yeah.
So on and so forth. And they may require 2 tables to put stuff up if they want to do that.
Now
So-
we'll have the new village hall at that time, so we'll have electrical here, and you'll have a parking lot and everything too. Now, if you just want to think of where you want to book.
Just as another venue for
Yeah.
something like that during the afternoon and.
That might not be a bad idea.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
in Matthews,
I don't know how it worked, but I mean.
in Matthews where they have the theater area, whatever, where they do plays and stuff, there's also a lot of spaces around in that same building. I can't remember what the name of the building is, but they have a lot of art down the walls, in the rooms. They've done art shows. In part of that building, you could use the Village Hall theoretically for that kind of thing too, right? I mean, you could have the
Are you
vendors
talking about
in
doing it
the
here
hall.
or the new village hall?
The new village hall, you could have. If someone wanted to do a pottery demonstration, you could have people. You could have You could have people either in the parking lot under like little tents or whatever, or you could use the lobby for. You could use one of the lobbies for a gallery.
Yeah, that's what I'm, yeah.
And we were already talking about doing a village hall tour at the
Yeah,
same
so
time. So
you're sort of-
you'll have more than one. You'd have more than one event here. So.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would say, as somebody that's been doing a remodeling project for the last 6 months, is that are we really that comfortable that there will be a village hall by that time? And I ask that only because we're talking about May, which is
And I haven't seen
since
foundation.
we're talking about 9 months away, and every person I know building a home, renovating a home, whatever, it's taking them months and months longer than was originally
Supply
planned.
chain issues.
So
Well-
is the Village Hall project different in that there's financial incentives built in for them to be on time? And
There are.
penalties? Okay, because that might help,
There are those
But-
penalties, and they've told the last I've heard that they should be done. I think they have 8 months from the notice to proceed, which started a few weeks ago when we had permits, and they say they're last Christine told me they're supposed to be ahead of schedule.
Okay.
They don't think it's even going to take 8
And I
months.
just bring that up because I'm in the midst of.
That can change.
Trying to get
Oh, it's a
subcontractors
valid
and all
point,
sorts of
right.
things.
Well, there is block. Block has been delivered. I saw that. So that's
Okay.
a good step.
Okay, with that said, and I don't want to get into the weeds, but the weeds are important. So
It's good to have a backup.
as I move forward with this, and I get more and more, hopefully I'll get more people, maybe another yard or however that works. But the sooner we know where the location's gonna be, the size of the booths, the electrical hookups, all that needs to be handled, and who's gonna do all that?
Well,
Who's
here's
gonna handle who's handling the logistics
Here-
side of this?
Here's my concern with that, is that we as a board, and I don't know if either of you were still on it, but we talked about these same type things when we talked about farmers markets and providing booths and, very similar type things,
Right.
And, once you get into them being able to sell their wares, you're gonna have people coming out of the woodwork to do it. Because, this is an affable community that, has money to spend and things like that. And while I think you would have to, number one, limit it to only a certain number of people because
Oh,
it
you
could
would.
really get out of hand.
Oh, I agree.
And
with
number
that.
two, once you start allowing them to sell things,
Yeah.
you have to start to wonder about that investment of putting electric and providing tents and things like that. And is there a charge for people that want to sell? That becomes a different, Because in most of these places, if people are able to sell something, they're paying something for that
We charge for
space.
booth
Yeah.
space. We
Yeah.
charge for it.
Well, the
So-
thing
so
that,
then that's a
yeah, but
different-
if I were them, I'll just play devil's advocate all day long here. This is Marvin Day 1,
Correct.
and they're taking a risk with us.
Yeah.
They may bring all their stuff out and they may sell 0.
Yeah.
So I would think the first year out on this thing is we want to encourage people to participate.
I
We don't
agree.
want to deter people.
Yeah, I
We
agree.
want people to come in. And my biggest wish would be that I've got to tell people we don't have space.
We're full.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be my greatest wish.
Yeah.
So I think that as we approach the first year, I think it should be all about the encouragement of people and see how it works. And then second year, if we find out that, yeah, we screwed up, John was right, we shouldn't have done retail. Second year, by
Yeah.
God, we adjusted to it
We can
accordingly.
absolutely change it. Sure.
Yeah, but I think the first year out, I think we ought to err on the side of encouragement.
Yeah.
Well, and here's
And
another.
if they want to sell some of their little things, and they're not talking about a huge booth or anything, they're asking the question, and you know, and if the group feels like they shouldn't, then that's fine. I'll let them know that they can. I'm just not sure that's the right decision.
I think we do 10 by 10s or 12 by 12s. I can't, depends on the size of the tent. If it's
Right.
outside, right? You're giving them a tent and the space underneath that. We do rent them, but again, this is year 8. So I like your idea that we do it for free this year, and we have once we know that we have a building, and we say we're going to do it at Village Hall, and we feel that we have X number of spaces, we just cut it off at that number. But we also get to say who we have criteria. We could say, I mean, I guess theoretically you could say your business has to be in 28173. You could say that.
You gonna get wax on, man.
Here's the thing though. 28173 includes a lot of people not in Marvin.
Sure.
So we're gonna run into this thing.
You can just
But
verify. We
it's
could
just-
verify addresses. I can do that.
Well, that's,
That brings up a subject. My first volunteer, Kelly, she lives in Hunter Oaks, but she abuts our property.
you mean yours?
Our neighborhood,
Yeah.
right. She's in Hunter Oaks. She's on this side of Ray Road. Nobody knows where Marvin city limits are.
I look at the map and don't know.
I know. So, and I talked to Kim Vanderberg about this. I said, do we want to discourage people from participating because they're, you know, I don't want to go to Waxhaw, John, but if somebody's right next to Marvin, I
Yeah.
literally can walk to their house. Why not allow them to participate?
Well, let me ask this, because this might be an easy way to solve that of what we consider the Marvin community and whatnot. But in the past, we've had areas that we've also designated as ETJ potential, or areas that
We have an annexation
annexation
area.
agreements with Weddington, and we don't have one with Waxhaw, right? But we've decided just Marvin itself, that gray Byram is the natural way to do that. So do we look at the invitations, whether it's for the car show, or whether for it's the garden tour, or whether it's for the art tour, of it really just be of the people that are in that Marvin sphere of influence, I think.
Yeah, if you want to use that you're talking about from Somerset through Hunter Oaks to Drayton Hall, all the way in this big open area in the middle. This is
Correct.
us. This is our area. Now I don't know how you, unless we're just checking individual addresses. I don't know how you openly tell someone you got to live here. Well, how do you describe here?
Yeah, that's why I'm using the zip code as criteria number 1. I didn't get to criteria number 2, that it's art, or, you know, I don't mean to judge it, but that it's not junk, right? And that we get to decide. It's like a juried art show, right? You send them pictures, and we all decide, yes, you can be in our festival. I mean, you can be that way. Or we can let anybody in and be surprised. As to
Well, and I think we've discussed that, but
Otherwise.
I would say we want to be open at a minimum to the people within the Marvin sphere of influence, you know, which is where we have annexation agreements or natural boundaries that, you know, are already established. But I think we want to make sure because a lot of this comes down to council, and I've seen stuff recently on Nextdoor, you know, kind of giving Marvin a bad name, you know, with parking passes for the park and confusion over those things and stuff like that. And, you know, I think we want to do this for the community of Marvin to help build it, right? But we also want to build it with the people that are adjacent to us, go to school with our kids, all of those things, because they want to voluntarily, or if it's a statutory annex, you want them to support that, you know? And I think that's part of the intent of council's, you know.
Well, I agree with that, but here's another good question I've got. You know, I looked at your data, you know, there's a application request. If I want to participate in the Heritage Festival, fill this sucker out, right? Well, I'm bypassing all that, as you know.
Well, and we do too. I mean,
I'm asking for volunteers because we don't have an application process, and I don't know who's in charge of that application process. So I'm out there asking for people, and I may not get the best artists that anybody's ever seen.
well, that's subjective.
But I'm just trying to get people to participate the first year.
Yeah.
I mean, again, just to get this thing going. But if y'all want me to hold off and get an application process to be able to participate, you know, I'll stop this process too.
Now, so,
And I don't know if we want a lot more people than I'm going to have. You know, we started out with just a garden tour, then we made an art tour. And again, I think the first year, let's keep this thing as simple as we can keep it, but it enjoyable if people want year two. And it's a balance there.
And that you get their attention. That we have enough stuff that you get people's attention. So do know that a lot of time of the festival committee is spent going out and doing what you're doing, and then we come back in with the paperwork and say, "Oh, just sign this so we got your name right," because we get that wrong sometimes. You know, so it's kind of, it's not that we just send that out to the world and say, "You must fill out our form." That's not very nice, is it? Yeah.
The other thing, obviously, again, you know, I brought up last meeting, is a budget. You know, if we're going to do tents, do we have budgets for tents? How many tents?
Are we providing tents?
I don't know. Y'all brought up tents for the village hall.
Well, I was using that as an example.
Well, I know, but I'm asking a question.
Most people who do art shows anyway, most of those people
Do tent.
have a tent. Yeah, but they have a tent
I
too.
don't know if the
Most of ours bring their own. We
When-
have a few, and you can rent them from us. Like,
I previously helped plan a festival in Troy, North Carolina, and we didn't provide tents. We gave them a spot.
You
We
give
char-
them a spot,
we gave them the
yeah.
spot. We charged them for it. He said if you were, we had two locations, one for day, one for night. The day location had electric. The night location did not.
yeah.
We just let them know up front.
Yeah, you just let them, exactly, you let them know, and tents are.
So we're providing nothing.
I don't think we know
tables.
that.
We definitely don't have enough tables.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
If they're in the barn, they would not need a tent.
exactly.
And we
Well,
could-
that's what I was hoping for.
Well, we already considered having sponsors being able to set up in the barn. So if you're letting sponsors have tables in the barn and things like that, maybe we do it where the art part of it is from 10 till noon, and the barn spots can be designated for art stuff in the morning, and then in the afternoon we do it for sponsors, or
I was
Hold
asking.
on, I apologize, but I missed, when did we say we were gonna put sponsors in the barn?
well, I think the last time we talked about giving sponsors and stuff the opportunity at a certain level to have a table in the barn, so that
Yeah, depending on who the sponsor is, they might not even want that, they might just want their name on a banner somewhere. You know what I'm saying? It depends on what they
I
are.
don't know.
I'm with Derek 100%. When I've talked to these people, I envision Derek, you know, having a section in the barn that's art.
yeah.
And it's confined, and we have, you know, tables or whatever for them, get them from the church or chairs or whatever, and let them set up. And in terms of time, I've been telling them, I have no idea. It'd be on a Saturday, May 21st, and it'd probably be from something like 10 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon or something like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, and they know that I told them, I said, I'm way ahead on this thing. I'm just wanting to know if you'd like to participate. And then we'll get you the details down the road. But there are details to provide, and we need to be prepared to do that.
I think you're absolutely right.
So, but anyway, we're making good headway, and hopefully I'll have some more people. But Derek, I kind of work with you if we decide to do the barn, you know, the space obviously is, we have limitations, and you just need to say, hey, Bob, you got to cut it off. You know, you got your 5 or 6 people, that's all we can accommodate. Or how, you know, just give me some heads up, and I'll communicate with you.
Well, at our next work session, I'll lay out sort of a maximum number, and this is kind of what I was bringing up last time, is that, and I'm going to work on this with the spreadsheets that Christina Amos gave me, and some tracking everything, but we got to have a schedule kind of laid out to where we're not overlapping. I don't think we need, personally, I don't think we need an art show for 6 hours. I think 3 or 4 hours, you know, heavy in the barn will be fine, but you know, we can get 10, 11 vendors in there, no problem. I think there's plenty of space. I've never seen an event where sponsors have like their own dedicated time. To me, they would be set up at our, you know, finale festival, say the school for the big grand finale. The sponsors would be there, able to promote their business, you know, as part of their sponsorship package. But I don't think if we give them time to set up in the barn, I don't know that people are going to come to the park just to see the sponsors.
Yeah, and I was thinking of that because, and I said sponsors, but I'm also thinking the Carolina waterfowl. We talked about possibly having a blood thing with American Red Cross. Or, you know, we had talked about a number of things, and I just didn't want us to overextend the barn, and that's why I was saying, along with what you're saying, Derek, 10 till 4 seems like a lot. 10 to 12 for one thing, and then, you know, 2 to 4 for another, you know, might be more appropriate. The other thing I was wondering, and might be nice for art, whether it's the barn or not, is we could probably fit 5 or 6 tables at the pavilion down by the lake, too.
Yeah.
You know, which is similar kind of to a tent, where, you know, you have
really
tables
nice
around the outside of it to some degree, and, you know, the artists on the inside, each with, you know, a table. You could, I don't know if you could get 6 to 10 of them, but, you know, that is another piece of the park that we could use for something that I was thinking of.
Absolutely.
Where you don't need a tent necessarily.
And introduce people to the pavilion, because
Yeah.
many don't know it's down there.
Yeah.
Well, I
So
think,
anyway, I just want to let people know we're making progress, and it's positive
Yeah.
and that type of thing. And we got a lot of questions. And then the other thing I'm in charge of is ice cream. Okay, so I've locked in May the 21st with one of them, and the other one I've got kind of pending. And the reason for that is this is hard. There's an ice cream shortage.
of course there is.
In fact, Sticks and Cones, who have one truck, they go to a warehouse to get their ice cream, and currently they don't know if they're going to have ice cream when they go to the warehouse or not.
So every time they go.
It's iffy as to whether they'll have ice cream or not. So COVID's really affected their business in a dramatic way. Now, the other thing is, I kind of made a management decision. I did not want scoop ice cream at this event. I want individually wrapped ice cream, be it Nutty Buddies, ice cream sandwiches, Dove bars, but everything individually wrapped.
Yeah.
And both of them said that's exactly what you do. Don't mess with open scoop, because people get right now kind of freaky about that. So anyway, I've got them locked in. I'll get you a budget number. The budget number, all of them have a minimum. And as an example, one of them $600 for the day, I think. I'm in the ballpark. And that entitles you to 200 free ice creams. Every ice cream sandwich over and above that is $3. And they tally up the number of units they sell, and they budget accordingly. The other one has kind of a you pay up front, but as he makes revenue, he deducts from his upfront payment.
He gives you a percentage. of it.
Exactly. So what happens is both these companies are working on the premise, I got to break even at worst.
Yeah,
So I'm going to cover my costs by establishing a minimum I'm going to charge you, and anything over and above that I'm going to do okay. So the ice cream's going to be outrageous. I've told them we're probably going to need them, and I made this hour up too, because I don't know how many trucks we need. You know, if we're going to be at the house.
and are you talking about for what we would do at the school or something at the park or?
Well, everybody said ice cream was a great idea. So
Understood.
I don't know.
Okay,
Beyond that, we haven't finalized anything.
yeah,
So what I was doing, John, was simply finding out what this is going to cost
yeah,
and make sure we had it available so nobody else books the date. That's
Right.
literally all.
You're holding the date at this point.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just letting you know that it's going to cost us somewhere between $600 and $1,000, 600 and 1,000. And how many trucks? Somebody needs to tell me in what hours they need to tell
Yeah.
me. I'll get back with these people and we'll solidify it. But I just want everybody to know I followed up. I got 2 companies, and here's what the approximate cost is going to be. So we're going to be good on ice cream.
So let me ask a question. What if we just opened, we had an ice cream truck and people paid for ice cream?
You can do that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, but
Yeah.
but it's
more-
harder to get them without the.
They're
minimum.
gonna do
I
a
see what-
minimum.
Absolutely.
They're not driving the truck out and paying for the gas, the labor, and everything,
No,
and then sell 10 ice cream.
Especially for something that's never been done before.
Right.
No. But I'm saying if from the very beginning you just have people paying, you get, you're
Well,
fronting the 600, but you'll get your money.
Well, we get it.
They will be
we
paid.
get our money back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're setting a minimum. So the way I understand the contract, and it's a good question. Let's say it's $600.
Yeah.
And let's say they serve 150.
They're still getting 600.
They're-
We gotta front the difference.
Yeah, when he
Got it.
he
Okay.
says they're free to us. They're still
Right.
selling
Okay,
them
thank
at
you,
that
because I
price,
could-
Right.
but it's going back to pay their costs. Yeah.
Because I could see, I got mine for free and you had to pay for
Yeah.
yours. That wasn't gonna go very well.
Well, what I'll do
Yeah.
is once I get the contracts, we'll go through them
No,
thoroughly.
okay.
Yeah,
But we got 2 companies, so what I need from our committee is hours and the locations.
yeah.
But
Yep.
we have the dates, so I'll just be waiting on everybody to come forward and tell me what to do.
And I'm thinking it's almost like, if we're having this larger event in the evening, it's almost like you have them at the park during the day, and then sometime around 4 or 5 o'clock, you have them pull up stakes and then go to the other venue, and that would maximize them and,
That way, we only need 1 truck too.
potentially,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we'll figure it out. We might still do 2, but
Well, obviously, that brings on more expense.
it does, yeah.
So, but anyway, I just wanted, that's the update.
No, but you've made some decisions that need to be made, that it's prepackaged, so that
Yeah.
solves that
Yeah.
problem. You've got so that's good. So we've got it
So we're-
settled. We just need to get details done.
Yep.
Which brings up the point that we need to get, I mean, it's not
We
just
need to
the
get a
school.
date, yeah.
It's not just that. There are whole lots of other things, to your point, that we need to decide what we're gonna do. But we have the option to do them now. If he couldn't find any potential art vendors,
Yeah.
we don't have to worry about it, but he did.
Yeah.
So,
And-
yeah,
and
it's a
John-
good problem.
And John, as we're talking about Marvin Day, and I don't know if I'm thinking out loud. Should we have a marketing and advertise? Who's going to be in charge of advertising? Who's going to brainstorm advertising and
You should have one.
develop?
You guys should help. I will be the one that ends up pushing everything out. But if you guys have ideas about,
See, we need to brainstorm that.
yeah, you guys can craft messages for me to send out. You guys can.
But it needs to be a plan I know what you're thinking. It needs to be a plan, and it's something that the Heritage Festival does not have, and we suffer for it. So they will have one next year.
I have a senior this year at Clemson University in public relations and communications
Ooh.
who is currently her internship that Clemson pays her for is doing work for nonprofits. So she's doing a lot of these type of things, marketing, and a lot of it's like creating social media things because so much of it is done that way.
Oh, yes.
So I'll ask her if, as a volunteer, she does graphics design work and stuff like that too. So
It would look good on her resume.
it might
really
look
would,
good on her resume. So let me just see if that's something she might be interested in volunteering for. Because Austin, you do a great job too, but I'm sure you could also use some support with the content. even
Yeah,
with your
I
blasts
do
and
not
stuff
have enough
like
time to use Photoshop.
that. So if we could get someone to volunteer, and I'll check with her to see
No, I
if
think
she's
that'd be
interested.
that'd be great.
And it would be a real, a brand new, fresh approach too. That would be pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our success is totally dependent on the marketing program. Getting
Oh,
people. It's like use an example. I'm not throwing a shot at anybody or on anything. National Night Out. I said, Judy, my wife, Judy. I said, hey, Tuesday night we're going to National Night Out. She says, what's National Night Out?
Yeah.
I said, well, they've got banners up. She said, I hadn't been up there in a while.
Yeah.
She said, well, I said, they got a website. She said, I don't go to the website.
It
Yeah.
goes to everybody's email address,
Yeah.
to all the social media.
Well, and here's the thing though too, I forget her name, but the lady that was on the board for a short period of time last year.
Sherry.
Sherry. But she did bring up this point numerous times, and I think it is a good point. There's maybe 25, 30, 40% of our population that aren't even plugged into social media.
Right.
And whether it's because of age, of interest, whatever, it's trying to find ways to reach those
Absolutely.
people too.
Well, and I can talk about
And I think part of it may organically grow if we're getting people like car people involved, if we're getting
Of course,
people like
yes.
artists involved, if we're getting people like gardeners involved. We've got enough time where that can kind of build organically to something.
I agree.
Well, all of their network.
But,
they will
correct,
learn.
but we've got
Absolutely.
to do that good job of
Yeah.
giving them the information to get out to their little
Yeah.
networks.
Yeah.
In whatever way they do that, and it may not be social media.
Exactly.
It could be an email list that they have, stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the most important components, and I'm going to talk to Austin after the meeting, is the HOA president's meetings. And I know you happen to be one of them. But is the HOA presidents take on some responsibility in terms of supporting Marvin and communicating events like Marvin Day? That could be a huge win if they get involved and start communicating through the HOA systems about Marvin Day.
Well, and
Because I
think
know
you'll
that's
see-
frustrating for you because, I can't imagine.
That's
But
an
anyway-
understatement.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm going to get with Austin on that. And that was something
I'll
else.
hold my thoughts till then.
And John, I volunteered to help
Yeah.
reinstate that.
Mhm.
So Mike and I met and,
Okay.
and we're fine tuning.
Mike
Gilboy.
Gilboy.
So,
yeah.
so we're going to get, anyway, that's going to be back up and running.
So that's good.
Yeah,
That might help Marsh too.
it would. Yeah.
Dan, anything from you? On Marvin Day and stuff. I know he wasn't at the work meeting, so
Yeah, we were at the beach last week.
yeah, I didn't know if there might be
Yeah.
some things you want to jump in here, and I always feel bad because when you're here live, sometimes it feels like you have the mic more,
Oh, no, that's okay. I've been listening and absorbing. I think it looks like I got volunteered to do food trucks, which I'm happy to do. I saw that on the agenda, which is good. I think what I'll probably do is reach out to, there's some neighborhoods around here that have had food trucks show up, like on a schedule through the summer. And I can ask some of them if they, which food trucks they liked, and then also, how easy they were to work with. So we might have good leads on that. On the communications, I do think so. Like our, my wife and I aren't on social media. We don't have time to deal with that. But the thing we probably do see is the emails from the HOA because it comes to our email directly. So I do think that's the way you get at whatever percentage of people are like us. They don't have time to pay attention to the phone for social media. I don't know how many people that is anymore, but I think there's probably a lot of the parents.
yeah, there's a lot, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of
So
people that have
the
felt,
HOA presidents or the HOA, somebody at the HOA getting the emails out is like, that's how we find out about things
Everything.
in the community typically a lot of times.
That's good.
Yeah.
The social media thing is not just older people who aren't on social media. If anything, they might be on. It's some of the younger, some of my
Absolutely.
younger friends are like, I don't do this. I mean,
Well-
they just don't, to Dan's point,
And,
they don't have
and it's
time.
whether it's the right one, because,
Exactly.
you know, my family and a lot of us are all on Facebook, and my kids are, but they'll never check it. You know,
That doesn't
because
work
they're
then.
doing Snapchat and Instagram and things like that, and that's why I was saying one of the things with my daughter,
TikTok.
you know, one of the things she's doing for you know, with this Clemson program is she's building, you know, communications for a nonprofit organization to reach 12-year-olds. So she's writing memes from the perspective of a 12-year-old.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but that's how kids and even teenagers and other people are finding things these days, and they're becoming the 20-year-olds.
It blows
now
my
and
mind.
stuff like that.
You
know?
have to
So,
know your audience, right?
Scary.
yeah.
It's scary.
I was literally in a
It
restaurant. And
is.
a kid is like streaming other gamers on his phone, and he's like 4. I'm like, what?
We're not that sophisticated
So
here.
yeah, Dan, especially with the HOA thing, and good to hear that Bob's been talking to Mike. I think some of those communications, you know, and some of it is just the HOA list changes so often with, you know, who's the president, who's the VP. Even just to get some of those things updated, I think will help communications too.
We initially were thinking of having that as a feature on our website, was have an HOA page, but we realized just the time it would take to keep that updated. Like we have a pretty good list. It's not all inclusive. We have a pretty decent list, and whenever we send emails out all the time, oh, I'm no longer the president, send it somewhere else, and that's just
Yeah.
the ones that respond, you know.
Right. Oh, no, I'm familiar with it.
Yeah.
And we're trying to find we still don't have a lot of HOA information for all these neighborhoods that are in our annexation area, for example. So there's still people we've just never been able to get in
Like
contact
the
with.
reserve. And,
Gates at Ansley, even they're next door. They're right there.
yeah.
Providence stands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway. All right.
Anything else, Dan, that's on your mind?
Nothing, Marvin Day, other than, was there, I apologize, Derek, I was in a meeting when you had the meeting with the folks on the race. Is that still something we're talking about, or is that off? Are we doing the nature walk down at the pit?
Yeah, and go ahead, Derek.
Go ahead, John, you're fine.
But I was just going to say, we did have an extended conversation about that last meeting, Dan. And I guess the question, I think we still absolutely want to do that, and we're going to have nature and trail walks as kind of a separate thing.
Right.
But the decision that we were talking about was more, is it a 5K where it's more of a competitive thing, or is it more of a family fun run that's organized for people more to come and bring their kids, and it's more of a fun run type thing than an actual 5K, where we even did a little bit of investigation and found out, you know, what organization we might be able to employ to do a fun run like the Heritage group does. But I think that's where, you know, we didn't necessarily decide it, Dan, but, you know, there was a lot of conversation about, you know, gosh, do we really want to get, with everything else we've got going on that day, do we really want to get into the, you know, all the intricacies of it that Derek with his research was finding out and was going to be creating a lot of work? Or is it more, yeah, we're going to do it, but it's going to be more of a family fun run?
A casual thing.
You know,
instead
where
of-
I
people,
like that a lot. I think that the race gets complicated.
Yep. And
We can
serious.
highlight our trails with, hey, show up at the
Yeah.
elementary school at this time and check out our trails, and we're gonna do a family fun run. And even for little kids, you set up a little race or something, ad hoc or whatever, but I like keeping it a little informal this time to see what we get.
Yeah.
See how things
Well,
go.
Dan, for people like me, and there's a lot of people my age and more of them, maybe younger, you know, I'm perfectly willing to go 5K, 10K walk, but I can't run. So, and a lot of us would like to participate, so it's more inclusive that way, I think. And
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think that's what we're trying to get, is just people to know the trails exist and show them where they are.
Yeah.
If we could just show them around and we all just kind of meet up and I like it being a little more informal to start, maybe.
Well, then you save a lot of money on clocking people in and out, and that is
The
a
registration.
big expense. The registration, it's all expensive to run a race, to manage a race.
No, okay, I just didn't see it on the agenda, and so I didn't know if it just, we mixed it, or I was just asking. So that's great.
Yeah, and the agenda that we had for today was really to discuss Marvin Day in general, and that being a part of it. So, you know, I think, again, as we get a date and we start getting into these individual things, and that's the other part you may have missed a little bit from the workshop meeting, is that, you know, you were kind of assigned food trucks, but we were starting to kind of divvy out some responsibilities amongst us as board members, just so that we each kind of have some areas to focus and bring information back over the next, you know, 2-3 meetings that we have, as we're kind of trying to solidify and start to get our foundation beneath us.
No, that's perfect. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
All right. That's kind of it. Derek, anything from you specifically from last time on Marvin Day?
Not from last time. I do like the idea of the walkathon. Obviously, that'll be less work on us, and hopefully, it will draw more people. I liked the idea of getting vendors down to the pavilion if we were going to do something at the barn, because the resource of the barn itself is limited, and so we just need to, I think, at our next work session, kind of really hone in on who we want to target and for what times, and, you know, and then start laying out the schedule of the day. And that was some good ideas, good feedback this morning.
And just to confirm, our next Marvin Day discussion will be our next regular meeting. The next work
Yes.
session isn't going
It's
to
after
be in
that.
between that.
Yep, your next regular meeting is September 7th, and then your work session will be September 28th.
Okay, so we'll be prepared
And Jamie's
to talk
gonna be at the
these things
28th.
about on this next one. You know, and please let me have a date by then. You know, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we knew there's not a work session in between this and our next meeting. But we'll be prepared and have this on the agenda for next meeting as well. Okay? Anything else, unfinished business items? All right, moving to new business items. Bob, I've got you on here
Yeah.
for some discussion of the Eagle Scout projects, and we got Derek here. so-
Yeah, there's two things to update you on. One is, I met with Harrison Bellamy, and I know he met with, Christina's met with Derek, and he's now with me. And his project is to build a swing set, a swing, I should say. And when you picture the swing, please don't think of a child swing. It's not. It's a 2-seater. It's got a back to it.
Like a couch.
Like
Right.
a porch swing.
And it's going to look really nice, and it's going to overlook the lake. We're setting it far back enough from the lake that people walking the trail won't interfere. It's also close enough to the pavilion. If you have families out there and they want to keep up with their kids, the kids aren't far away if they're on that swing. So theoretically, and that's the operative word, he's going to buy his lumber today. And his completion date, his hard date for completion, according to him, is August 23rd. That he's got to have it done by then to get his Eagle Scout project.
Have you worked out that spot with Derek just to clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So Derek and I had walked out there before.
Okay.
It's up on that little hill. But if anybody wants to go out there and walk it, you know, please do. But anyway, so that's Harrison, and he's doing the swing set. So the other thing Derek and I talked about, and we talked about it in the PR at our committee, was I want a defined process on how this Eagle Scout's going to work. And my recommendation, and I review this with Derek, is obviously projects are based on need. And Derek brings me or tells me about a guy, and I meet with him. And then I come before you guys with the projects. And we will rank projects' importance. As an example, on the website, the 2 projects we now currently have ranked in importance are the composting and also the repair of the bridge on the trail. It's starting to show a lot of wear and some rot. So, and that's a safety issue and something I think needs to be addressed. So those are the 2 projects. And what I'd like to see is, okay, Derek comes to us and he says, hey, Bob, the next thing that needs to be done out there based on need is this. Well, I bring that before this board along with Derek, and you all give us input on it. Once that's approved, then it goes up onto the website so it's just a rotating priority of projects. So once we do, as an example, Christina, we do the composting. Composting falls off, new project comes up. And that's what the Eagle Scouts have to choose from. But that'd be the process, that every time Derek comes, we come before the advisory board, you all give us approval or disapproval. If it's approved, it goes on the marketing website. I'll interface with the Eagle Scouts and say, which of these do you want to do?
Right.
Kind of thing. And it's just a continuous process and flow instead of these ad hoc activities. So,
One question I would have is that, for example, because it's on the priority, that boardwalk, right?
yeah.
That was actually done by a whole troop, and it took quite an extensive period of time. Is the repair of it something that you think would be within the scope of an Eagle project, or do we, reapproach a troop and say, hey, we loved the work that you did on this, and maybe that troop is willing to go back to that project, to revisit. And I only ask that because
John, you have a lot more experience than I do. I'm just jumped in for the first time, so I don't know what I'm doing yet. I don't know how long that takes. But if there's a troop that might be willing to come out and do that bridge, that'd be wonderful.
Derek, I haven't looked, critically at that boardwalk. Is it something, the repairs that you think would be in the, correct me if I'm wrong, but did I hear once before, and I think it might have been when we were talking about an Eagle Scout project to fix the boxes at the gardens, but I thought I heard before that the Boy Scouts in general, when they look at Eagle Scout projects, they want it to be something new, not necessarily something repaired. I thought I heard that, and that's the only reason why I'm bringing it up. Do you remember that, Derek?
I think you're correct. The only reason I say I think is because they have done a repair in the past.
Okay.
And so I think we keep it listed on and see if there's a candidate that wants to come look at it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he brings his whole troop to help him regardless. So I think it could be done with an Eagle Scout project because the bones are already there.
Yeah.
It's just, doing the repairs and the upkeeping.
Okay.
But anyway, that's the recommended process. I've got a question that I asked of Harrison Bellamy. And I asked Harrison, I said, Harrison, have you signed to hold harmless? And he said, no. Well, my concern is if we have young men coming onto the property doing construction work with saws, hammers, so on and so forth, and they become injured doing work on behalf of Marvin, are we not liable?
I'm not a lawyer.
And if I'm not mistaken, I've never done anything in my corporate side of the world without having a hold harmless agreement in place prior to having any risk in marketing or otherwise. And I would like to have Marvin talk to an attorney and see if in their opinion, we need to have hold harmless agreements when we engage outside people to do work on behalf of Marvin.
I can talk to our attorney. That's no problem.
Would you? I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I just want to make sure we don't one day wake up and go, oops.
Yeah, and I think there are specific protections that municipalities have that,
Oh, okay.
that private organizations do not for some of those things.
I'll double
But
check
Yeah,
that.
definitely check on it.
Okay. But
Because
that's-
it would be the same thing if we have a volunteer workday and somebody.
Oh,
goes
yeah,
out the back,
absolutely.
You know, that's why I think there are some provisions
Okay.
that, I think in essence, what it normally says is that the municipality would have to be negligent in some way. And
I think you're correct. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure.
Mhm.
You know,
That's a good point.
There's nothing wrong with double checking.
Yeah.
stuff.
This might not be the right place to bring it up, but would they be ever interested, do you think, in doing something like fixing the drainage for the garden? It's not a big job, but it's a labor-intensive job.
It's a very good point. He's talking about the cottage garden. I assume you're talking about the cottage garden.
the
Yeah,
drainage
yeah,
in
Derek,
front-
I haven't-
Yeah, we've
Right
talked
in
about
front.
it.
Trying to meet on that.
I mean, it clearly, I mean, it is the entrance to the cottage garden. The cottage garden looks good even when it looks bad, except for the entrance. And,
You're talking where that river stone is?
well, there's
currently?
a dry creek bed that comes
Yeah.
through, and then there's the path, alleged path that goes all the way through the
Yeah.
garden, right? But at the beginning, right after you turn the little curve there, where the berm is, the little berm,
Mhm.
it just washes out, and
Yeah.
and there's plastic showing, and
Yeah.
I ought to just go cut the plastic out if nothing else. That would look better than what it looks like. But yeah, it needs attention,
Yeah.
and if you could get an Eagle Scout to do it, that would be lovely.
Is that a big enough project for?
I don't-
municipality?
I wouldn't
don't
know. Yeah.
Don't know.
I mean, the future civil engineers of the world might figure it out. I don't know. But I mean, either way, it needs to be fixed because it's
Yeah.
just.
They need to put a catch basin in and either a new pipe or tie into existing pipe and build up a little berm and make it look nice.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's not something you would, get done in an hour, for sure.
Well, I'll be interested to see how the swing goes. And John can give me, and Derek can give me some heads up on what happens if it doesn't get done, kind of thing. That's gonna be an interesting thing.
But it's one of the things that we dealt with in the teaching garden at the Ag Center, is we get a lot of interest to build another bench and to build so I like your idea that we're gonna have a list of things we want
Correct.
instead of things that they want.
Absolutely, and it's reviewed and approved
Yeah.
or disapproved, and we got a, and it just.
And it's already sitting up there.
And it just
I mean,
rolls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we know that the compost bins are good to go, who wants to build
Right,
one?
right.
Yeah,
And Austin's adjusted the website, so if anybody goes to the website,
cool,
They know
no,
what
I
we-
like that.
they
No
know
more
what we
bitches.
need, so we're good. That's all
Okay.
for me, John. That's been enough, I guess.
No, I'm glad you're taking care of that, because it's.
Derek,
it's really
any more comments from you on Eagle Scouts?
No, I think the more formal the process, the better. It takes all the questions, the back and forth out, and
Okay.
we dictate what we want to have done. As far as the cottage garden goes, well, I'll meet with Dan and Christina, and we'll lay out exactly what needs to be done, and then we'll see if we think it's an Eagle Scout or if we need to bring in more or bigger help.
Okay. All right, moving on to agenda items. This is Austin's highlight.
Not much today. I really didn't add any much for Marvin Day since we're all pretty much continuing our marching orders from the previous meeting. But I'll talk to Chaplain, our attorney, about the need for any hold harmless agreements. But pretty sure we're good. Does anyone want to add anything?
No, I think other than there was one other thing I think,
I know John's.
you were just
following.
gonna look into the legal aspects.
I had one I wanted to add to that, which is kind of already on this list.
Okay.
Where is it? Sorry, I'm reading the list here. Is there anybody coordinating with DOT on the road, the roundabout at Marvin and Newtown, in terms of where the trail interfaces or overlaps with that?
I'm lost. What?
So the roundabout
In Marvin.
in Marvin where the trail interfaces, so are you talking about like being able to traverse the roundabout with a trail?
I'm lost.
That and so the reason I bring this up, I realized this, was that we had a call, Austin got me the contact and the plans for the sewer work that's going on right along, basically it's it is exactly along our trail.
Oh, okay, wait, are you talking
talking
about
about
the
this
proposed roundabout?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he must be, it's a Marvin
Sorry,
Road.
proposed
Yes.
roundabout. Yeah.
Okay, I was
Marvin
thinking of an
Road, yeah.
existing
Yeah.
one. Gotcha.
No, so there is work going on right now, right exactly in the path of the trail that we're gonna build in the not distant future.
I think you mean the next leg of the Marvin.
Unfortunately, they were gonna replace the pipes, the county was, the sewer pipes, and that would have been a great opportunity for us to like let them leave the soil bare, where they put it back and put our trail right on top of it. So unfortunately for us, they came up with a cheaper way, which is they're gonna line the pipe. So they're digging like 8 holes, and then a bunch of holes in the pipe, and then lining it with this like plastic type liner. But when I had the discussion with the gentleman from the county about that, he was asking if we were coordinating at all with DOT on the new roundabout, because our trail does seem to interface with that in a couple ways, crossing at number 1, but also they're gonna be cutting and filling in an area where I think our trail passes right through. And it's not a huge section, but it seems that everywhere people are doing work in our trail area, we might want to take the opportunity to see if we could save money by, taking over the replacement.
DOT.
Well,
Back trail.
it's my
And
understanding.
so,
It's my understanding that the
Okay.
roundabout's going to be done first. It'll be done before we even start working on that trail.
But he's saying take advantage of any overlap that might be there. Like if there's a bare spot that is, instead of them putting grass back on it, just go ahead and mulch it and say this is the beginning of the trail, even if it's kind of a smallish
It's
area.
a bit out of my wheelhouse, but
so there's work. I think anytime there's work going on in the vicinity of our trail, we want to see if we can find opportunities to save money.
Yeah,
And that is one thing that we know is happening. Also, we are planning, I believe, in the plan, there's crosswalks there we want. And I don't know if anyone's talked to DOT
can't
about
speak to
that.
Yeah, I'm a little fuzzy on any crosswalks in the roundabout. I don't recall.
Oh, that was in one of the plan versions I saw with Rohit. That was a crossing to there to get to the other
yeah,
side.
I don't think we've ever seen that.
well, maybe we need to.
Yeah.
Dan, can you?
The other one I wanted to ask about was the village hall. Is our group coordinating with the construction of that in any way to confirm where the trails are going and that it's actually happening, if we're getting what we want out of that?
So where the trails connect to that property,
Which trail are you talking about?
the
Preserve.
reserve trail behind us, and
Well-
how it connects into the new village hall.
I can't speak to it. I'm not familiar.
I think it was shown on previous plans that we saw initially for the village hall. What I don't know is how much those village hall plans have
Change.
morphed, and whether or not they're still shown on there. Because I know like the whole exterior look of Village Hall has changed. But has it also changed where the parking lots are, which might be where the trails come in or out in either direction.
Should we just
Is
revisit
that what you're talking about, Dan?
Yeah, exactly. When I was driving by it, the construction, it's just getting going. But in my mind, what I remembered where things were wasn't where they were, or maybe a little different in the field. Anyway, so the main question I had is anybody purposefully coordinating anytime there's construction in our trail area to figure out how it impacts us or how we can use it to our advantage? And if not, I'd be happy to kind of help with that wherever possible. But I think we need, even any construction job I've worked on, even though it's on the plans, unless you drive it into the ground is done, there's probably a 90% chance it's not exactly what you thought it was going to be on the plans.
Okay,
in terms of where the trail goes and that kind of thing. So,
Okay, guys, we don't really know. I don't know about this. This is more questions for Christine and Hunter with the planner. So you should forward those questions to them because they're going to be the ones to know the answers.
Yeah.
But if we're going to continue this discussion, we're going to need to open the agenda and amend it because this is not on the agenda.
Okay.
Oh, I just meant to can we put a item on our to-do list that PRG to coordinate with ongoing work that happens that we hear about in our trail footprint or something like that?
Let's get some answers from staff first. That way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know where we stand on this at all.
What I'll do, Dan, is I'll work to see if I can get, what some of the most updated plans are that might indicate, where those come in or out, and we'll put it on actually as an agenda item for next month.
That's a good idea.
Oh, okay. Yep. Sorry, I always bring these up at the wrong time of the agenda.
No, you're good.
But I do think we have the opportunity with a couple of these jobs that are happening. We have some real opportunities to make it what we want or get something out of it, so I just want to be sure we're watching that.
Yep. Sounds good.
I think that's smart.
Okay. So you good, Austin?
I'm good, yeah.
All right. The next item on the agenda is board comments. Dan, we'll start with you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't open any more cans.
I don't have any new comments.
Bob, any comments from you?
No.
No? No, none from Christina, and I'm good, other than just to thank staff again for the coordination yesterday and the communication around National Night Out, and I'm confident that we'll be able to, on our October 5th date, put our best foot forward.
Under comments, I'm sorry, I got one comment. Everybody's gotten their new stipend.
Oh,
I need checks,
forgot to bring you a check.
so please give us a check. I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm good.
All right, do I hear a motion on the table to dismiss the Village of Marvin Parks Recreation and Board meeting here on August 3rd at 10:23 a.m.?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All right,
Thank
thanks
you guys for all
everybody.
your hard work.
Yep, thank you
Thanks,
guys.
Derek.
Dan, take care. Take care, dear.
Okay, see ya.